Hey everybody, welcome to In Progress. It's of course a week with a lot of news. This was the first week that Progress Texas, in my knowledge, changed our title of our Best of the Week emails. So that can just tell you how much of a difficult time it has been for not only staff, but I'm sure everyone listening as well. I'm Reagan Stone, Progress Texas Advocacy Manager. On the call, we also have Introduce Yourself, someone that's right there.
That's me. Hi, I'm Digital Associate Haley Smith.
I am Tatum Owens, Advocacy and Development Coordinator, and we also have
Digital Director Sam Gonzalez. Welcome, everybody. This week has been... I missed the meeting that you guys decided that Best of the Week was going to be changed aptly, because obviously nothing best about this week, honestly, and for a while. But I was at the cat hospital. That's why. That's how my week is going. All this stuff, and then in the middle of it, my cat is injured itself and was bleeding all over the place, and we freaked out. And it was a very minor injury. Might as well stubbed his toe, but it was so scary. So like, I'm ready to go on this podcast because it's been, once again, a week.
If you own a cat, we all need a second job, especially for the exact reason just like that. My God, what are they doing to us? They're so cute.
It's an inside cat. There's no way. It stubbed its toe. Literally, it's the equivalent of stubbing its toe, but somehow in a way that was catastrophic to my day. But we have more important issues this week, so let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I was going to bring up here, there's just a couple of things, but like the only thing that's good, I guess never wished a person to death or a bad thing, kind of quoting roughly some author, but I've definitely been happy-ish when something happens bad to them.
Yes.
It was a divorce this week. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, why would you wish ill or divorce on somebody? Well, I would wish that a certain person would protect their peace, if you will, no matter how bad they are also. We're talking about the Paxtons, folks. Talking about the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch got together. These folks are splitting. And I was laughing because you guys, as I was dealing with the hospital stuff, they're like, Sam, you missed it. And I was like, what did I miss? And then you're like, Paxton's getting divorced on biblical grounds. Biblical grounds? What was it?
Biblical grounds under recent discoveries too.
It's a capital B too. I learned that yesterday.
Yeah.
Biblical grounds. And I'm like, wait, isn't most divorce? Wait, no, biblical. Affair? Question mark. Patent pending, not implying anything legal, avoiding legal.
Texas Tribune said that's what it was. And I mean, I loved Chris Mosier, our podcast director, what he said this morning. He was like, everybody, we have a new bachelor, basically. I mean, I guess he's been one for a while. Oh man, that hit me. That was good.
I not to belabor the point, but like, I went to the comment section immediately. And when I think biblical grounds, I'm like, okay, everyone has the right to religion. I know Ken Paxton and his ilk have taken religion in a direction that a lot of people would consider way too far, and other people have religion. It's healthy. It's great. My grandma's great, a great Catholic. But the comments were like, you can't get divorced. God made that marriage between you two so you can get civilly divorced. But God, he's the one that makes sure you get divorced or not. So you can't do that. And if you go and marry somebody or date somebody else, that's adultery. And I'm like, whoa, what kind of we're progressives here. We're young here. We don't think that way functionally at all for the most part, if I'm not to speak for anybody. But I was just like, wait, so does this mean that if he goes and dates somebody else, or if he, legally divorced, all that stuff, it's no longer an affair, allegedly? They're going to be mad at him still? That's great news for us.
What I appreciate is that they both put out tweets on it. Like, they didn't keep anybody waiting. There was no guessing. It was Angela laying him out, basically saying, look, I cheated on me. And
Paxton is a fugly.
Like the whole script. And then Ken ends his tweet with, and we would just respect any privacy that you could give us, which is so crazy coming from him. Like, Mr. All Up in everybody's business, whether you're trans or whether you're a school teacher or whomever. A wild
And he tried to be like, because of political attacks, this is why my marriage ended. First of all, Mr. Political Attack is talking. Second of all, like, really? That's why?
And
Mm.
Travis County DA and prosecutors, you can now subpoena his wife to speak against him.
Ex-wife.
Oh, wait. The paperwork's not signed yet.
Well, the funny thing is, you were talking about Mr. Privacy, please respect my privacy. Yeah, he's the one that's wanting to know what a transgender teenager in Seattle is doing
lines.
in a different state. What are you talking about privacy? God, it's so crazy for the Republican Party to be so hypocritical so consistently. Everyone has a dose of hypocriticism in themselves. I don't know if that's the right word. It's fun to say though. But for him to be like, it's because of the attacks. No, I think it's because of the alleged affair and because you didn't stick by her side when she drove the getaway car away from your being served. Everyone remember that?
Insert picture of Angela Paxton so run over. Oh my god.
As Ryan Gosling's driver in the white jacket from the movie, as Keanu Reeves in Speed, or was that? No, that was Sandra Bullock. It was both of them, I think. I don't know. Point is,
there's a pop culture reference for that.
No good deed goes unpunished is the point of that. And yeah, does it sound bad that we're making fun of a person with a divorce? Maybe a little, but the person whom it's happening to, I mean,
yeah, quickly.
People, Senator Angela Paxton is not a perfect little person either. Let's be clear. Like, she has done some heinous things in the legislature in association with her previous husband.
Yeah. Something that comes out of this, though, to just keep us going, because we could talk about that for hours, all of these topics, really, is who's the better candidate, Cornyn or Paxton with this new light? Because we all know that MAGA does not care about being a good human being or a Christian, in any way, walk like Jesus type stuff. And in line with that, some of the folks that are announcing for Senate and maybe even governor race, as well as walking around it.
Cornyn, yeah.
I don't know. Is Cornyn or Paxton better to go up against a Dem? Like, which one has a chance of losing?
I mean, at the point that we've seen, Cornyn is really doing horrible, right? Like, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that there is a sect of the Republican Party here in Texas that wants this really extreme, dogged attack dog, and he has proven to be that. Once again, we're going into he has invaded the constitutional right to privacy that people have talked about, and just overrun that multiple times. So I would think that he is the candidate, but I don't want him to be. I would much rather John Cornyn be the person, and then we have a wide field of candidates in the Dem arena that can really take him down because of the lack of action we've seen recently from his side.
And Tatum, I'm going to give a 2 cents there because, from a perspective like this is Cornyn is kind of the more moderate. Trump may not like him as much as Paxton, or who the heck knows what's on in Trump's mind. It's, it's nuts. But point being is Cornyn can get voters that are I'm not all on Trump's team, but I want a business mindset, blah, 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 blah. So maybe that is also another side to that. I don't know. But Tatum, could you walk us through some of those candidates that are either announced or have our eye in that U.S. Senate or governor race?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, there's a growing list. I would love for it to be longer and have a ton of different people in the game. Some of the folks that have announced, and I'll just move from the top down because that is what makes sense. For governor, because, we have Greg Abbott, number one culprit. There's been some names that have talked about it. We've heard some former mayors. We've heard House representatives and Senate members. We shall see who actually turns up. One of the names that I personally would love to see in the running for that, although he's considering Senate, as he said in a couple of different news outlets, is James Tallarico. I think he's a great talking head, and that's what we're looking for in the governor's position, right? Leading the party on different issues, and he has consistently gone viral. I think he'd make a great senator as well, right? He's already proven to be an extremely effective legislator, but I would love to see him take his name and running across the state of Texas. As for Senate, as we were just talking about, we've had a lot of different names, one being Colin Allred. You might know him. You might recognize the name, for better or worse. One of the groups that came out on Twitter with a long list of reasons to not endorse him was Mothers Against Greg Abbott. This was notable because he, I think, was expecting a warm welcome after his big loss and many, many, many in-state and out-of-state dollars spent on the 2024 election in what I think many agreed was a feckless kind of election. He threw trans Texans to the side and leaned way center, as we kind of saw was the trend. So here he is again saying, I'm going to do it in 26. And this is my opinion, to be clear. Like, I think that if he ends up being the candidate, then cool, great.
Folks like Mothers Against Greg Abbott have come strongly against Colin Allred.
On list.
And one last little opinion, whatever, dude's like a nice football guy, whatever. Baylor. He reminds me of someone that went to Baylor, right? I don't know. We're all
not see football ads. It's all
but point being is $80 million he raised. And he gave, I think the majority of that to Meta, to Facebook, to Instagram, to social media billionaires, because he doesn't walk blocks. He doesn't knock on doors. And he's asking for money again. And my favorite thing that I've been holding a few weeks to say is there was 2 text messages went out on the day that he announced. The first one was, hey, everybody, I'm Colin Allred. You probably already know me. I'm not asking for money. Blah, 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 blah. Donald Trump sucks. And then 5 hours later, hey, I'm Colin Allred. If we're going to beat Donald Trump, I need to raise $1 million today.
Great. Oh, thanks. Great. Let's do that again and see how it goes. That was one of the things that the Mothers Against Greg Abbott list included. In their words, 0.6. He raised a shit ton of money and used it poorly. And I also, just before we move on to Sam's point, this connects back to our team because we were working, we had endorsed the other candidate in 2024, Roland Gutierrez. But when Colin Allred became the candidate, we were there and we wanted to promote that as much as possible. So when the DNC came around, or the convention came around, and Reagan, our advocacy manager, was there, Mothers Against Greg Abbott points out he never campaigned on the ground until the last possible minute. And I think that Reagan could attest to that because even at the convention, Allred was nowhere to be seen. A huge platform.
Yeah, he came into the delegate breakfast, spoke for 20 minutes, a big football rally speech, very prompted. Not much actual heart that I could see there. That's from my personal viewpoint. And then walked out the back. I think he got maybe a quick interview with a Houston Chronicle or something like that, but did not want to walk through the press corps, did not want to speak to people, did not shake hands, did not kiss babies, did not, I don't know, it's like running your campaign.
Right. And that's the thing. Divisive already, which is not what we need at this very moment. That's really the takeaway. Now, I, however, did a lot of graphics for Colin Allred. I just wish he shared them more. That's all I'm saying personally. His politics, we're going to support the person who's not Ken Paxton. We're going to support the person who's not John Cornyn or Ted Cruz or any of that stuff. We get the game. We get the game portion of politics, which is unfair a lot of times. But give me one of the Castros, baby. It's their time. It's their time to shine. They're great at what they do, both of them. But particularly Joaquin is the one that's rumored to be thinking about running about pondering.
I would love.
And another San Antonio person who we all got to meet, Haley, Mayor Ron Nirenberg.
Yes, that was such a fun event. I had a blast meeting him. I'm not from San Antonio, but seeing Ron talk about San Antonio and its policies and what he sees politically, and he's very smart and intuitive, and it's just crazy in Texas seeing a good politician speak well. Going back to James Talarico, it's he's a star. It's wow, he can articulate his thoughts and fight for what he believes in. And I think just one thing, circling back to the Colin Allred thing, yes, he did raise a shit ton of money and he did not use it well. But I think especially going into that election, a thought that I had in like supporting Allred, at least through like the general election, because again, like not happiest with him, but like if it's him versus Ted Cruz, like, you know, um, with him going into the election being the more like centrist, bipartisan candidate and like raising a whole bunch of money, I was a little optimistic because I was like, I know in Texas it is kind of a pay to play. Like the more money you raise and spend, the better your chances are. And while the outcome of the election wasn't what I wanted, I think it did prove, while it makes our job harder, that you do still have to care and fight for the things you believe in. It can't just be like you buy a Senate seat or you buy the governorship. You have to actually have a movement and a coalition of things that matter and that people care about. And I don't think Allred was able to reach that because it was just about the money. And like I'm sure that must be hard balancing, but like I think the things that people fight for are important.
And like Socrates said, you got to have the youth too. And I'll make a plug that James Tallarico is expected to be on Joe Rogan this week. I don't know if we just said that or not, but if you have a Patreon with Joe Rogan and that ep has already come out, somehow get it to us or let us know if it's there.
I like James Tallarico too. I'm gonna put it on the record. I want him for president in like maybe about 10 years. Let him get some life experience. The guy's phenomenal. I think he's a really good politician. How do you come out as a religious scholar, which he is, out of Texas as a religious scholar and a progressive? That is a rare concoction that I believe can win in a lot of places. That said, I told my girlfriend, I go, yes, he might be on Joe Rogan's podcast. And she goes, ew. And I go, hold on. It's like a chlorine tablet in an algae filled pool.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not going to cure everything, but boy, howdy, could it clean up some of the gunk. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. He's a soft-spoken guy. He's not a big manly guy, but you don't need that. His values stand for themselves. His religious conviction stands for itself. And the type of person that he is and the type of person that type of person is someone who wants to help, that could get you far with a community of young men in this country that feel like someone's against them, like their people are rooting against them. And is it partially their fault? Sometimes, but a voice to go in and say, hey, it's not just your fault. There's systems at play that are putting you at a huge disadvantage, including like toxic masculinity, including the economy, including the environment. Things are in play that make it a little bit not your fault, and you shouldn't blame yourself for those portions. And here's how we can fix those portions for you.
Yeah, and it's not always about expansion and capitalism and making the most money and stomping your foot the loudest. A healthy male perspective or self can be lifting up your community, can be speaking to the people that have the voice that needs to be heard or brought to the table too.
Right. And it's an exciting prospect for that to happen. So I'm going to be looking forward to it. If it does happen, I might have to watch my first Joe Rogan podcast. I've done pretty well to avoid it, but I've caught a few clips here and there, but that one I won't miss.
And while media does not have any of these laws really anymore, it's just kind of like a good best practice typically, although they don't follow it either, is we mention everybody that is out there because we're following those best practices. So I'm going to say other candidates who actually have announced that are not necessarily career politicians. It's for governor is Bobby Cole. Seems like a really stand-up dude, volunteer firefighter, small town fella, rancher or farmer. Definitely has that Texas persona and a very like straightforward attitude. And then a fella out of Houston, a former astronaut, Verts, who is kind of, I don't know, interesting. He's talking a lot about immigration in a way that's like saying Biden kind of had some open border stuff, which is interesting. But, again, all of this stuff is like, I want to say it's healthy to the process. It's healthy to have a debate within our party right now, to do it leading up to March so that we can all rally behind somebody, including all of these candidates that have announced, because we're only going to get one for each race.
Right. And spoiler alert, progressive values are Texas values. So it's going to be one of those things where if someone commits to being a centrist or someone commits to being a pseudo-Republican, that ain't going to work for the Democrats and for the progressives and the people that want some change and some progress in the state that's been dominated by a force that has led to absolute catastrophe that we see time and time again. So,
yeah. Side note, random, Wurz means green beans, I think, in German. I don't know why I said that, but
it was in your head and you got to get it out. Yeah, I understand.
Progress Texas podcasting director Chris Mosier here. Independent, public, fact-based media is under direct attack by the Trump administration and congressional Republicans. Why? Because we dare to speak truth to power. We don't fire our staff members for expressing their own views. We don't shy away from what's really happening out of fear. As we all know, information is power, and once the truth is silenced, we're all powerless. Progress Texas relies on funding from our listeners and viewers to keep shining a light on the truth in Texas. If you've come to rely on Progress Texas, please support us. We don't do subscriptions or paywalls because the media we produce is important for everyone to be able to see and hear, but it can't continue without you. Please become a regular, sustaining monthly supporter of Progress Texas right now at progresstexas.org/donate.
Our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers, if we're praying, they are with the people that are in the Hill Country, especially those that have lost life, and the families that have lost loved ones. It's hard. I can't carry this on my own, folks. What's in y'all's mind right now around this?
I'm happy to add, like, I grew up in San Antonio just like Reagan did. I know that a lot of folks that grew up in San Antonio and Austin, your kids go to camp in Kerrville or in around in the Texas Hill Country, you know? It's just part of the fun summer times that aren't supposed to be marked by a huge, massive tragedy like this. And to be on July 4th weekend too, like where people are having barbecues or celebrating with community members. I think that we're all going to be grieving, and especially those who are directly impacted. And again, our condolences to them. For a while, it's so extremely sad and not without blame. And we saw like finger pointing pretty immediately. And I'm in, the whole Progress Texas team is in the game where it's like, we don't want to quote politicize anything, but everything is political and it is drawn back to a history of policies that led to these circumstances. And we can go into that if we want. But yeah, I think the thing that I've just been, and so many other people have been dealing with, is just this intense grief and sadness at losing so many like young lives and just so many Texans this week. Because yeah, it's not even a full week since it's happened. And I think that in the midst of everything else happening, like state, federal politics, immigration rates, it all feels like a lot. It all feels like too much.
The noise is loud. The noise is really loud. Sam, Haley, any thoughts here?
It's very hard to think about just because so many people, so destructive. And like, I think every time I think about the floods and what happened, I just think like this doesn't have to happen. Like it doesn't have to. Like I think this is just another massive casualty event that Republicans, I feel like, just have thrown their hands up and been like, well, I mean, it's not as bad as it could have been. And it's like, these are people, like these are real communities, and it's really sad. And like Tatum said, we'll be carrying this with us for a long time, I think. But I think it's important to carry that and know that events like these will eventually spark into real change, and hopefully not let it happen again. But it just sucks that we're in a world now where we have to fight for that.
Yeah.
But this doesn't have to happen.
Yeah. Haley, you talk about change, and I'll note that some of the post finger pointing and blame game, some solutions have been proposed in the aftermath. One version of that has looked like Greg Abbott putting it on the agenda for the special session, officially on this upcoming special session, and not just some future later we'll deal with it then thing. And I think that's great. I also think the fact that it was an emergency session in the first place over non-emergencies compared to this massive event that has impacted so many Texans across the state. And I also want to point out, like, you might, beyond the folks that are just in the Texas Hill Country, everybody knows somebody that has been impacted there too. Like, it is a statewide thing. National news covered it, right?
If it was so damn important, he'd also have Uvalde with the special sessions to handle guns. He can do it. He showed now that he can do it, and he decided not to do it. Are y'all good to give me like the little 2 minutes or so? Because because look it, I'm gonna start light. And then I'm gonna get serious. I'm starting light with first of all, Ted Cruz again, really.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in Greece now. The only thing I took away from that before the tragedy, to make it a little lighthearted,
I mean, baklava is really yummy, Sam.
Well, no.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Texans are barbecuing. They're at the lake. They're floating. Yeah. They're having a couple.
They're having fucking apple pies, dude.
They're having apple pie and shooting fireworks in the sky. And this guy is eating grapes at the Parthenon. What are we talking about? That's not even Texan. That's just my first criticism. That's not even Texan. Greece, lovely place. Greeks, lovely people. But on 4th of July, it's America we're talking about, all right? We're talking about Texas, America. I told you I'd bring it up a little bit. But that it's funny, but it's infuriating. And they're like, what could he do? Fucking something. He's a goddamn senator. Sorry, but I don't know how bad our language can get on here, but he's a damn senator from Texas, and he's not in Texas for the 4th of July. And then they're saying, what could he do? He could be there for his people. He could just be there. He could just be handing out water, the bare minimum. He could be there, and that would be, you know what? Good job, Ted Cruz. You were there. You were there when it happened. You were helping. I could say that. I'm wearing a Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirt. I could say, good job. But he couldn't even do that.
And facts to add to that, Sam, before you continue,
yeah.
as I hope you will, is that Ted Cruz landed, I believe, late on Sunday evening for a press conference at 9 a.m. on Monday after the flood had happened Thursday night. And then also Governor Greg Abbott was in California at a fundraiser, I believe.
This is my California, whatever, you know.
And took a private jet back, landed in Kerrville, and got on a press conference 9 minutes after that, too.
And meanwhile, Trump is golfing, I guess.
Even the governor was in California hanging with rich folks like he does. So, okay. So that was the funny part. And then Monday came around. I was trying to celebrate the 4th of July. We celebrate as best as I could with all things going on this year. And then I caught up on the news on Monday morning. I had seen the news trickle in. I said, let me give myself a moment of peace. I'll read it on Monday. I read it on Monday, and we got to our morning meeting, and I sobbed almost the entire time the moment I started talking. I had to turn my camera off because I was distraught, and I still am. This governor of ours, for better for worse, he goes, I'm going to read the quote. I have it here. Who's to blame? Abbott responded, who's to blame? Know this, that's the word choice for losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. Every square inch of Texas cares about football. You could be in Huntsville or Houston, any size community, they care about football. Okay, it keeps going. And know this, every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones who say, don't worry about it. We got this. We're going to make sure we go score again, that we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions. That pissed me off in a way that I was unsafe to the furniture around me. Because let's talk about what he said. Who's to blame? You are. The people who set up, as we've discovered throughout this week, the people who have tried to set up the guardrails so that this type of event doesn't happen, they are the ones to blame. The ones who could have helped prevent it and didn't. So then he goes, okay, we all like football, and every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. No. And first of all, winners and losers. So the people who survived are winners?
Yeah, so tone deaf.
What? So the people who lost their life, they're losers, right? Yeah, let's go with that message first and foremost. Beyond that, though, do you want to know what a championship team does? Do you want to know what a winning team does? Do you want to know what a good team does? Prepare. study film and history of all the events that have happened before. I don't know, like rising waters and climate change. They train their people. They go through training to make sure that these things are prepared for, that they know exactly what to do as fast as they can do it. And they're more prepared than the opposition, which in this case is Mother Nature, who tends to go undefeated on a lot of things. So the fact that you have to be even more prepared, you have to be more successful, you have to be more believing in the way that the world is changing in terms of climate change. That's the preparation. That's the winning. Your analogy sucks. The way you make people feel sucks. The way you respond to tragedy sucks. You are not a winner, Greg Abbott. You are not. And if you think for a moment you are, with over almost 200 Texans, almost 300 Texans dead, you think you're winning? That's the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time from a guy who spent billions of dollars on Operation Lone Star, caught like 3 people and let 2 of them go. And one of them was like minor trespassing, billions of dollars. This guy is a loser in every regard and wants to talk about winners and losers, wants to talk about championship teams. What's championship quality of Texas right now? Our responses are dog shit. Our spending is stupid. Our treatment of our own people is terrible with the migrant things going on, with taking over equal
rights,
education, the 10 Commandments in schools, all of this stuff. And you're saying that nearly 100 dead little girls is winning? I wept because I saw my little nieces, like a bunch of them, my cousin's kids, at 4th of July shouting USA, USA, not knowing how badly this country wants to treat them. And they're celebrating it. And I'm trying to be with them. And then you're telling me I come home to look at the news and say a bunch of little girls passed away. And now we're pointing fingers and calling people losers and shifting blame and not taking responsibility. That's what we're doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing wrong? Like, what are we doing right? I don't know. It's so disheartening, man. And so, Greg Abbott, just my final thought, man, fuck you. Seriously, I'm done. I don't want to be nice to you. I don't want to give you the benefit of the doubt. You've done nothing for Texas. You've done nothing for Texans. And you're a damn shame to the state. I yield my time.
There's a pregnant pause there too. Yeah. And I mean, I gotta just end this by saying, for any project to save lives, to keep people safe, real threats that can happen, there's always money for it. A great place to say to that is a blog and article that just came out yesterday. I've been working on it for a long time. It's titled "Hunting Migrants is Good Business" and has a quote from, spoiler alert, a private prison owner who says, "I'm not running a nonprofit." Folks, while this flood has been in the news all week, while Epstein little tapes, or the lack of tapes or reports, and tons of other news from Trump saying he's going to like take over cities and stuff. Some of this could be true. Some of it's just freaking trying to take away your attention from what matters. And all week, every day since Trump has been in his seat, which I'm guessing is really sweaty, migrants, children, mothers, grandmas, line cooks, professionals, students, farmhands, construction workers, the hardest working people that are the diversity of our entire economic and social system. They are being rounded up, intimidated, and made to be a fear of people that cannot look inside of themselves and see that they are being used right now. And I just want to just add on to that, of that there's always money. 45 billion. I think it's tripling, if not, quadrupling the ICE budget in this last Trump budget that was signed on July 4th. The land of the free, y'all. It's really a threat. And Tatum, I will hand this over, but I have just one quote that I want to bestow upon people as also we will eventually switch into our last topic here, which is to take care of yourself, folks. But first, I quote this in the article, and I hope that you'll go and read it. It's from Man's Search for Meaning. His name is Viktor Frankl. He survived the Holocaust. He was at Auschwitz when it was freed. And he said, quote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So you can decide how you will feel. You can take your anger and turn it into action. You can take your sorrow and comfort people around you. And you can treat the people that might be followers of a tyrant better than they treat you."
Thank you, Reagan. And I'll just add to Sam's note asking, what are we doing that's right? Tying the floods and immigration raids together, people are fighting back. I've seen videos of volunteers from all across the state, maybe even out of state, but I know from across the state of Texas, Texans are coming together to come volunteer, pick up luggage, save people from rivers currently flooding through their communities, and picking each other back up. No matter party lines, no matter anything, it's just we come together to help each other, despite the mess that other people have made for us, that Republicans have made for us. And then on the note of immigration raids, fighting back, community members have been coming together to stop arrests. And there was this really difficult video to watch where a farm was being raided, basically, right? Like targeting farm workers, the biggest threat to America, right? Definitely. And ICE had to go and reinforce their own supplies because they thought it wouldn't take long. But the people there stood up for one another and made sure that their community members were not targeted, made sure that everybody was going to end up safe together. And so I think that as we close out, the note that I've been ending on and that's been giving me hope is the fact that we can still come together in these really difficult moments and stand alongside one another.
I hope all of you have a absolutely beautiful weekend. I very much hope that you find someone to hug, someone to be close to. And I couldn't think more being around this staff right here that I know has their heart, wearing it right on their sleeve. Thank you again, Haley Smith, Sam Gonzalez, Tatum Owens. I'm Reagan Stone with Progress Texas, and from everyone here, you will never be forgotten in our offices, on our social medias, on our podcast. We're thinking of you always, and goodbye.